No news!
What's been happening in the world of nerd?
Do you want to go first, Liam?
Sure, it was the Oscars last night.
Yeah, it was. Whoa, how exciting.
I watched it live, stayed up, regretted it. I didn't realise that it wouldn't finish until 5 a.m.
Yeah, you're insane.
I had work today.
Yeah, you're insane.
It was unpleasant, I'm going to be honest. But the ceremony itself, obviously, as our listeners know, I'm more into my movies than you are. And I know you have a lot of points you want to make about the Oscars and their redundancy and whinge. Sure, we'll get there, don't worry. As a ceremony, as a barometer for what is currently popular, it was interesting. I don't necessarily agree with all of the results, but equally I haven't seen a lot of what was up in contention. I'm hoping, now that I've got my little unlimited pass, next year's Oscars, I'll be coming from a way more informed standpoint. But, you know, I've seen a handful of the movies that were nominated, or the performances that were nominated, and I definitely had personal opinions of who I would prefer to have won or lost and whatnot. So, before we get into your whinging about the Oscars, should we just quickly break down what I would consider the important moments of the night? So, Chris Rock, obviously, I don't know, are you aware, Jack, of the controversy surrounding the Oscars this year?
Yes, and I heard that Chris Rock was very open about it.
He was. His opening monologue was really good. He nailed the issue very well. What did
he say?
I honestly can't repeat it. It was very naughty. But my only sort of criticism is it was very much a black and white issue when it was discussed. And I feel like it's not just black people that are being overlooked in the Oscars. It is all people of colour. All minorities do not get given the same opportunities as white people. So it's a shame that they kind of reduced the issue into just black versus white when there's a lot more going on there.
Yeah.
The other thing that I'll say is we had a really good opening monologue that tackled it, but then throughout the night, Chris Rock would come back out and do a little bit more, and it would always be about the same issue. And it just got to the point where I was like, look, you've made your point. There has to have been something else going on this year that you can reference. Like, that's not everything that happened in the last year in the world of movies. Was not this
but then
movement.
Isn't that because, so from what I've heard about it, people were saying that the reason he was doing that, or not, I don't know, that's not what people were saying, but like, he was doing that because it meant that there were, like, people in the audience were apparently getting uncomfortable with it, but then that was like the point of it. He wasn't trying to be like, he wasn't doing the I'm going to make a point and then move on. He was saying this is wrong.
Oh no, definitely. But I feel
I'm not here to host your thing and just be
I get what you're saying.
Calm about it.
Yeah, the thing is, he made the point. He made it. People were uncomfortable. He made it, and it was just a shame that there was nothing else that was up for discussion. At times, it genuinely almost felt more like a lecture than a ceremony. And it was disappointing because Chris Rock is very funny, and I would have liked to have seen, in all honesty, the whole point is the lack of diversity in the Oscars. I would have liked to have seen more diversity in his presentation of the Oscars.
No, that's stupid, Liam.
I'm just saying, that's a personal opinion.
You're equating two things that are totally different.
I'm just saying, as a presenter who can be very funny, it's a shame that
but that's not what the point
horse.
was. He didn't come on there to be funny. He came on there because he wasn't going to boycott it at one point.
No, people asked him to boycott it, but again, this was something that was referenced in his opening monologue. His opening monologue said everything that needed to be said. Just repeating it throughout the night,
but then it's
didn't
not
bring anything new to the table.
No, but you're letting everyone off if you just make that point once, because then everyone goes, oh, that was a bit uncomfortable. Yeah, we did do something wrong, didn't we? And then they carry on and they have a good night. If you go on there to be like, you're not racially diverse enough in this award ceremony, surely because that means the whole thing is wrong in some way, it doesn't stop. I assume the Oscars didn't get to a point where suddenly it all became racially diverse again in that one night.
No, of course, but
thank goodness. So he was making a point, and then the whole thing is still fucked up and wrong. So he's like, here we go.
Right, but basically saying, hey, look, isn't this thing fucked up and wrong? And everyone's like, oh yeah, is it actually, isn't it? Yeah. Give me half an hour, I'll be back. He goes away.
No, because
they do some awards, and he comes back, everyone, look at this thing that's fucked up and wrong. Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah, because he's not saying it to you, and he's not saying it to, like, the audience, assumedly. He's saying it to the guys that are making it wrong. Like, the people that do the nominations and the people that are voting and stuff.
the people that essentially
the people that are there.
run it. Yeah, okay. I get what you're saying, but as I keep saying, everything that needed to be said, he covered in his opening
No,
monologue.
but you're not
There is
getting what I'm
nothing
saying,
wrong.
because I'm not saying, right? I'm not saying I think he should have made the point and stopped. I'm saying the opposite to what you're saying. You keep saying that you said yes, it was also at the beginning. I'm saying it shouldn't have just been left at the beginning. I think he did the right thing by carrying on about it.
Here's what you're not understanding. I've heard what you're saying, and I'm saying I disagree with that. In my opinion,
right,
they didn't need to keep referencing it throughout the night. There are other things going on in this year in the world of movies that could have been referenced.
Give me an example.
I didn't write his script. Yeah, how about the equal pay thing between women and male actors that Jennifer Lawrence was sort of cheerleading the way for? That could have been referenced.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There are other things that have been happening. So, I'm not saying that one topic is more important than the other topic. I'm just saying we could have had a little bit more diversity in the issues that were being presented on a platform where there was a lot of eyes watching it. So here's what I guess my point is. We've got, let's say in total, Chris Rock had 30 minutes of airtime. Yeah, you could spend 30 minutes of that just harping on about the same point, or you could do 20 minutes, really nail that point, get your point across, and then you've got 10 more minutes where you can start addressing other issues that are contemporary and need that screen time and could maybe benefit from people being made aware of and thinking about.
But then do you not dilute your original point by raising multiple points?
I mean, do you really need to make the same point consistently for 30 minutes? Or could you make that in 20 minutes and then go off into others?
You say that, Liam, but you're saying like, does he need to keep making the point? But for this, whole Oscars thing, that's been a point, and it wasn't like fixed. They didn't go, oh yeah, shit, we really fucked up this Oscars. Maybe we should sort it or do something to rectify the situation, or do a speech saying we're going to rectify it.
They have actually announced, like a few weeks back, way before the ceremony, that for next year they are looking into how they can address this issue and ensure that they do not have a repeat. So there are already things put in motion to address this issue.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, I completely was 100% behind him making his points and getting it across, but I felt like he did that well enough in his opening monologue that it didn't need to be referred to throughout the night every time he came back on stage. There's just other things that I feel like he could have tackled.
Right. Well, I think we're both going to end up disagreeing on this point. So
yeah,
let's
of course.
move on.
Of course. Cause...
Tell me about Leo winning the Oscar.
Right. So the categories that were of somewhat importance. Mad Max won 6 Oscars, which was kind of impressive when you consider action, blockbustery. Well, not even blockbustery, but like action movie. Like Mad Max came out of nowhere last summer. I don't think anyone was really expecting it to do as well as it did. So I was pleased to see it get 6 Oscars. Best visual effects was a surprise. Ex Machina took that one home, which I completely agree with. But that was competing against stuff like Star Wars.
Oh, okay, yeah, that is quite surprising.
So Ex Machina was up against Star Wars, The Martian, Mad Max for best visual effects, and I think, for me, I'm very happy it won, and it's because the effects that were used, 1, were good, but 2, they weren't too showy. It was almost subtle in a way. So best animated film was Inside Out. I don't know if you got around to seeing that.
I didn't see it.
It was the standout. Like it was the obvious winner. Now, best supporting actor is the only one I actually really cared about when I was watching. So to just go through who was nominated, we had Christian Bale for The Big Short, Tom Hardy for The Revenant, Mark Ruffalo for Spotlight, Mark Rylance for Bridge of Spies, and Sylvester Stallone for Creed. Now, personally, I really wanted Stallone to win it for Creed. I mean, he won an Oscar for writing Rocky, I believe, in 1977. So this is supposedly, he said, Creed is going to be his last appearance as Rocky in a movie. So it would have been a real nice bookend if he could have won an Oscar for that performance. And he does give an Oscar-worthy performance in that movie. If he hadn't have got it, I maybe wouldn't have been happy, but I could have understood Tom Hardy getting it for The Revenant, because Tom Hardy was incredibly good in The Revenant. But Mark Rylance got it for Bridge of Spies, and I just do not understand that. It bothered me, and it was an upset.
Did you see Bridge of Spies?
No.
Yeah, neither did I.
Yeah. But, I mean, and so I was obviously monitoring the feedback on Twitter, And there was a few people that were in the camp of, oh, if you'd have seen Bridge of Spies, you'd see why he got it. He was very good, blah, blah, blah. But he could have been brilliant. It would not have stopped me from wanting Stallone to get it, because he was so, so good in Creed. Moving on. Best original song was Sam Smith's Writings on the Wall, which in my opinion is one of the worst Bond songs we've ever had.
Yeah, it's not great.
It was awful. Really did not like that at all. Best Director, I really wanted George Miller to get it for Mad Max Fury Road. Unfortunately, and I'm probably going to butcher the name, so I apologise, Alejandro Inarritu for The Revenant. He also won Best Director Oscar last year for Birdman. I'm going to be honest, I'm not a fan of his. I really wasn't a big fan of Birdman. I thought it was incredibly average. And The Revenant, while it is admittedly a better movie than Birdman, is still just average. So I wasn't a big fan of that result. Best Actress, Brie Larson for Room. I'm hoping to see that this week. I've heard nothing but good things about her in it. I loved what I've seen her in before, particularly Short Term 12. Very happy for her to win that. Now, Best Actor, which is probably one of the more talked about results. Just to give you a rundown of who was nominated. We had Matt Damon for The Martian, Leonardo DiCaprio for The Revenant, Fassbender for Steve Jobs, Eddie Redmayne for The Danish Girl, and Bryan Cranston for Trumbo. I would have been happy with Matt Damon, I would have been happy with Fassbender, I would have been happy with Bryan Cranston. Leonardo DiCaprio, who was everyone's favourite, I would not have been particularly happy for. And it's not because I don't feel like he deserves the Oscar, it's because I feel like he only got it this year because his competition wasn't particularly tough. His performance in The Revenant, yes, is very good, but Tom Hardy is better than Leonardo DiCaprio in that movie. And when you're not even the best actor in your movie, I don't think you should get an Oscar.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I was like, I haven't seen all of them, but I thought Matt Damon's performance in The Martian was really good.
It was very good. It was very good. I haven't seen Steve Jobs, but I've just heard nothing but praise for Fassbender's performance, and I actually wasn't that interested in watching the movie until I heard how good Fassbender is supposedly in it, so I'm looking forward to watching that now. And Cranston, I just love. Also, you'll be interested to know Best Supporting Actress went to Alicia Vikander for The Danish Girl, who, she got it for The Danish Girl, but she was Ava in Ex Machina, and in my head, I like to think that's why she got it. And then finally, the big one, Best Picture. I think no one was really expecting this. It went to Spotlight. I think a lot of people were expecting The Revenant, and I'm kind of pleased that it went to someone different. Haven't seen Spotlight, so I can't really comment. I'll add it to my watch list, and once it's out on Blu-ray or whatever, I'll get it watched.
Fair enough.
That's the Oscars now. Begin your whinge.
Right. The Oscars are a complete load of bullshit. They're absolutely a waste of everyone's time. They mean literally nothing. They're so pointless. Did you see the article that the guy released? I can't remember what his name was, but he's like a Croatian film director.
No, I didn't.
He did I think his film was nominated for like Best International Film or something.
Best Foreign Language, maybe?
Yeah, it could be that. But it was the first time that he was saying it's the first time his country's had a film in that category. So for him, it was really important. And he was like, this is a big deal. You know, it means a lot if we get it. Then they were doing some like Oscars, I don't know, I can't remember what it was called. It was called something. And it was like the guys that vote on the Oscars were like doing a big, this is how we do it sort of thing.
Yeah.
And they, pretty much all of them, said that they hadn't watched all the films in the categories. They were voting on the films that they had seen. And he said, well, why? If you haven't seen the films in the category, you should just bow out of that vote and say, I can't judge that category because I haven't seen the 4 films in it. Or 5.
I completely agree. I think you should not vote on something that you have not seen every single entry in the category.
Yeah, and he said that the majority of them were in that situation.
Yeah, I think that there is obviously a huge issue with the voters, which again comes back to this diversity problem as well. There is just such a huge issue with the attitudes of the voters, and I think the age and the background of them, because they generally tend to be in their 50s, white men.
Yeah, see, that's insane. Like, how do they decide who the voters are?
I honestly don't know. I know that quite a few, that I think there's a lot of actors and directors are also voters. I might be wrong, but I think Tarantino is one.
Oh, okay.
I honestly don't know what they use to, pick a voter or whatever, but it definitely needs looking at, and they really need to tighten up. If you haven't seen everything, you shouldn't be eligible to vote.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It is. However, I would say that the Oscars still hold a worth because, one, marketing. Now that the Oscars are done, you'll find a lot of movies being sort of marketed as Oscar winner or Oscar nominated. Even actors go from, Tom Hardy to Oscar nominated Tom Hardy, for example. Like, anytime you see in a trailer, it'll have that prefix before his name now. And the reason why that happens is because in the general public consciousness, there is still a prestige around the Oscars, and they're still somewhat respected, even if they're not fully understood.
Yeah, but that's insane. So that doesn't mean the Oscars are good. That's just a marketing thing.
Yeah, but why do an award show for anything at the end of the day?
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yeah,
I don't think they should do award shows.
Right, well, they're going to. They're not going to stop just because you don't think they should.
No, but that's what I'm saying. I'm saying, right, that they're flawed, they have loads of issues, so clearly they either need to change the way they do them. Like, the ones I agree with are when the public vote for something, because you can't say this was the best film of this year.
I disagree with that.
Well, why? If you're taking the best film of the year is the film that everyone enjoyed.
When you let the public vote for something, you end up with someone like David Cameron in power. So I don't think the public should have the right
well, then
to
you're
say.
not getting a fair opinion on what the best film of the year was. You're getting a bunch of old men saying this was the best film, which they always seem to get fucking wrong.
I think opinions should come from an educated place, which is why I think...
No, it shouldn't. Not if they're using it for advertising to appeal to the public. You can't say this film was the best film of the year, so trust us, you should watch it. Right. That's insanity.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is the voting should come from a place of education. So that's why it should be someone that has seen all of the entries. That's why they should be the ones that get to vote, because they are the ones that are in the best position to say, yeah, out of what was available, this was the best one to watch this year.
No, but that sounds so flawed. How can you say that?
Right, it's a movie at the end of the day. It's always going to come down to opinion. So all the Oscars does is it just gives you some sort of cultural barometer for
but it doesn't.
A group
That's what
of
I'm
50...
saying. A cultural barometer.
If you let me finish...
No, I'm not going to, because I'm
I'm just going to
so I'm doing that. Yeah, I'm doing that thing. So I'm going to cut out your audio on this section, Jack.
You totally
cut out
can.
Liam's audio.
You totally
so what
can,
I'm saying, Liam, is that what they should do is to get a cultural barometer of people's opinions, they should ask the people. If you say that a cultural barometer is based on the opinion of however many 50-year-old white men, that's not a cultural barometer at all.
It's a cultural barometer of those that run Hollywood.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. I don't care what the people who run Hollywood think.
If you let the people vote, it would end up with being something really popular like Star Wars.
Yep.
Or you'd end up with just something fucking ridiculous. Just because a lot of people have seen something doesn't make it the best.
No, I agree, it doesn't. But it would be more of a cultural barometer, which is what you're saying they are.
No, I'm saying they're a cultural barometer for 50-year-old white men in Hollywood.
Right, but who gives a shit about that?
Clearly
no,
enough
they don't. No,
people...
because like you said, people don't understand what the Oscars are. So they see the Oscar nominated and Oscar winning. Most people don't watch the Oscars, Liam, at all.
No, they don't. But they see that and they understand that there is some sort of what's the word? Some sort of prestige to that.
Yeah, they don't. But they don't understand it. They just assume that.
Yeah, that's
ridiculous. That's a flawed
people.
system.
And you want to give those people that just make those assumptions the power to choose what the best fit thing is.
Yes, I do, because like I said, most of them don't watch the Oscars. So the ones that would end up voting would probably be the ones that actually were like, I like movies.
Do you think?
Yeah, because I'll be honest with you, if they were like, you can vote for the best film of this year, I wouldn't.
Well, I'm pleased that it's not the public, but I do agree that the voters need a huge rethink.
But then, so what would your suggested solution be then?
You give it to people that actually care and people that are going to actually watch all of the options presented to them.
How would you decide that? How would you decide who cares?
Oh, you as they already do, you choose people in the industry, you go to certain film critics, and then you would just start rolling it out from there. Maybe even let people from the public apply and have some sort of application process, and you could choose people from the public that you think would take it seriously.
Yeah. The Oscars are bullshit. Pokémon! Liam, I don't know if you know, but the other day, I can't remember which day exactly, because, fuck researching for this, but it was Pokemon's 20th anniversary.
Ooh.
Which is, that's pretty impressive, Liam. Pretty long time.
Those pocket monsters have been around.
Hell yeah, they have. And with the 20th anniversary, we also got the announcement that the next instalment, which is Pokemon Sun and Pokemon Moon, will be released this year.
Wow.
which
So
I am excited about.
not long to wait then.
Hell no. I imagine they'll be going up on pre-order sites like within the week.
And what's going to be new in Pokemon Sun and Moon?
I imagine new Pokemon.
Yeah, but each edition brings a new element to the game as well. So like Gold and Silver, you had the day and night cycles. Yep. The more recent ones, like X and Y, completely changed the view. Was that changed in that one?
X and Y went 3D.
Yeah, exactly. So,
well, I imagine. So the thing with X and Y is they weren't full 3D. The battles were 3D, and other elements were.
It was more 3D.
Yeah, no. But so what I'm saying is there was like I'm talking about the actual
just walking around
on your flicking your slider on your 3DS to make things 3D doesn't affect most of Pokemon X and Y.
That's not what I was talking about.
Yeah, I know that. I know it wasn't. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Because that's the big so that's what the next ones will have is full 3D support.
Oh, I have zero interest in that.
Fair enough. That's your opinion. I think it's better than at the moment. It jumps in and out, and it's very distracting.
Wait, no, I'm confused as to what you're talking about.
You're talking about it being 3D, as in it's in a 3D environment.
Yeah, and you're talking about the slider.
I'm talking about the actual 3D that the 3DS is named for.
Right, that no one ever uses after the first hour.
I disagree with you. I think you don't use it, and therefore you think people don't use it.
If anyone has a 3DS, please do tweet us or writing. Do you actually use it for the 3D?
Yeah,
or
I'd be genuinely interested.
Do you get a new game, you look at the 3D for maybe an hour, and you think, let's just turn that slider off now, because it's a bit annoying.
See, that's because you're like an old man, though. So for you, the 3D's like a whole new thing. You're scared by it.
Generally, I have no issues with 3D. I watch 3D movies a lot. I'm not one of these that's like, oh, 3D, I don't understand it. I just... The Nintendo 3DS doesn't do it well enough for me to want to, strain my head and get a headache after playing it for 2 hours.
See, it never gave me a headache. I've never understood that.
The older one did. The new 3DS is less of an issue, but it's still just a gimmick that I'm happy to turn off, and I will enjoy the game just as much without it.
Yeah, no, I'm not saying that the 3D in the new one is going to be the main selling feature.
That's what I was asking you.
No, you said what's going to be different about the new one. I said they're probably going to have full 3D support.
Anything else that's going to be different?
I don't know, Liam, because they only just fucking announced it.
Alright, well, you could hypothesise.
No, but I have no idea. Because in not even alpha, in the original Ruby and Sapphire, they added the secret fort thing. You could build your own little house,
which just was abandoned.
It came back for alpha. No, but that's what I'm saying. So that each one has its own specific thing.
Yeah,
but they change it. So it's in Gold and Silver. You said the day and night cycle, but the other big thing they had was you could plant not
seeds.
Berry bushes. Yeah, you could grow the acorns that would turn into Pokeballs.
Yeah.
Which you can't do in a lot of the other games.
Yeah.
So for each one, they have a specific...
Was Gold and Silver also the one that introduced breeding?
Yeah. No, could you breed in red and blue? I think you could breed in yellow.
Yeah, I thought with red and blue there was the daycare where you could train it, but there wasn't breeding, because not every Pokemon had a gender in red and blue. Yes,
that's true. Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah, I think it was Gold and Silver that did that.
Yeah, Gold and Silver, actually, I quite like.
Gold and Silver are really good.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get hung up on the idea that there's just 151 Pokemon, but I think Gold and Silver actually added quite a lot of value to the game, more so than any of the other sequels have done.
I don't know, I think a lot of people rate Ruby and Sapphire.
I was not very impressed with those.
Yeah, but you're a very negative person.
Yeah. Do you think Sun and Moon, maybe those titles, do you think maybe we'll see some space stuff going on? Well,
we see space stuff in a fair few of them.
But we see Pokemon from space. Have we ever actually gone to space?
We're not going to go to space in the new one, I don't think. But in is it Zed or is it Emerald? In one of them, you definitely travel to an alternate dimension that's in space sort of thing to catch one of the legendary Pokemon.
Okay. So, do you think Pokemon Sun and Moon will once again see a spike in 3DS sales?
Yep, 100%.
Are you going to buy them?
Yeah, 100%.
Which one? Sun or Moon?
I'll probably get Sun, I think.
Why is that?
Don't know, just that's the one that appeals to me when I first see the names.
When it was between red and blue, were you a red person?
Yep, I was red.
Of course you were.
Why?
Just seems like the sort of thing you'd go for.
Why?
Just red seems like the sort of arrogant, I'm the best, I'm going to be red.
I think listeners, if you're going to tweet about the 3D thing, could you also tweet in and tell us which one of us comes across as the most arrogant and self-centered?
Yes.
I'm almost, seriously, I think it might be you.
Yeah, if listeners could come in and write and let us know which one of us sounds like they are more open-minded, and which one is just like, I want it my way and nothing else matters.
How many of my suggestions in Culture Swap have you come back and said were like decent?
I mean, when you give me a decent suggestion,
and when I tried all of yours, and I think I've only had one that I didn't like.
What was the one that I said was decent?
I think you have none, and I have one that I didn't like.
Yeah, but that's not my fault you're giving bad suggestions. Like, Kat suggested Nail Biter, and I thought that was a fantastic suggestion, and I really enjoyed it.
Yeah. Still, listeners, like...
Maybe if you give better suggestions...
Let us know, because, you know, I think a lot of people enjoyed Neverwhere, and I think a lot of people enjoyed Attack on Titan.
I think one person enjoyed Neverwhere.
I think a lot of people enjoy it.
Yeah, again, let's not get into the Neil Gaiman thing. We've done that.
Yeah.